the Danforth Music Hall with Silversun Pickups, Brian, Nikki, Joe, and Chris. We, of course, go way back with all these guys. They're in town touring in support of Better Nature, their latest album. First of all, how do you like the city so far, and how do you like the tour so far?
We love Toronto. I went to Hudson's Bay. I always go there. I went to both Hudson's Bay. I wanted to go to the Bata, is that a shoe museum? Is that how you pronounce it? I usually go there to see the different exhibits going on. I've been there twice. I was going to go the third time, but then I was getting a little tired.
Well, you're sort of a local. So is it exciting for you to be kind of home?
Yeah. No, absolutely. I'm gonna see a lot of cousins later on tonight, and it's always great to be here. I mean, it is kind of like a second home to me. Yeah. So.
Your latest album, not so latest anymore, not so fresh anymore. It's been about a year
since it's
come out. I'm sure.
Yeah.
It's been it's like I guess it's like a child. It's like a baby. Yeah.
It's our freshest.
Hey, well, that's a good question. Do you have a fresher album? Is there anything in
this is still fresh for us.
Yeah.
Do you guys don't have as much time for this kind of stuff now that you have offspring and all that stuff? Has that changed your musical,
our touring or our writing?
Your time to make music, to tour.
It's pretty much the same. Yeah. Before we just had a lot of free time, and now we actually do something with it. We're just busy. Okay. But we don't write on the road. That's the thing. So we've always sort of been. It's always in a 3-year cycle. It's just because we tour a lot. So it's usually 1.5 years to almost 2 years of touring, and then it pretty much takes almost a whole year for us to write, record, and release a record. So it always ends up being in 3 years.
Okay.
And also now when we tour, we do it in shorter spurts, but we go for like 3 weeks and come back. Yeah, because when we were first starting, we'd go for a couple of months at a time, and it just got to be a lot for us in our personal lives. So.
Well, you guys are road warriors for sure. I've noticed that you do lots of festivals all the time. Mm-hmm. You tour all the time. You've been in Toronto already a few times since the last time that we spoke. And actually, when you do a lot of festivals like Coachella and Lollapalooza and all that stuff, and when we met last at Edgefest, and then something like this tonight, which is a little more intimate, it's a little more of your own. What do you prefer? How do you feel about the differences between the two? 20,000 people versus 2 or 3.
2 or 3 people?
2 or 3. We would be more nervous with 2 or 3 people.
Yeah, playing to 20,000 people is easy. Playing 2 of your friends is hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, it's just, festivals are like a nice little break from doing your own shows, which is like, I feel like they're, in a weird way, like they're just easier because it's like, it's a shorter set. There's less pressure in the sense that it's like, it's not all sort of on your shoulders. And it's kind of fun because it's just like a big circus and you can like run around and see other bands or try to see other bands if you have time or whatever. But it's nice to do both, it's a nice balance. It like sort of, like we did a festival yesterday and it was just like, oh wow, cool, we're done at like 3:30. Like,
Oshiaga Festival.
Yeah,
and
it's amazing. We get to see different bands play and they have amazing catering there.
Hopefully.
They're known for their catering.
Start drinking early,
Yeah.
Nikki does. She's not with her twins.
It's like you're part of like this circus. It's almost just kind of like summer camp almost. Like there's so much different things going on, and it's so different than from like our show, where it's more kind of. Like this, like it's kind of like, okay, there's moments when there's like we're busy and then all of a sudden it's like hurry up and wait, and so, but it's a good, like Joe was saying, it's really good to be able to do both, so we don't get sick of one or the other.
Well, at your own shows, the fans are your own. Do you get a little bit of extra energy from that?
Well, I feel kind of like both. Like we get good responses from festival crowds and our crowd, obviously. So, I think it's just in general really cool when people are stoked to see you and they're looking forward to it.
You definitely get good energy. Like you yourself get good energy knowing you're playing to new people. Playing to new people is really fun. And generally at your own show, I mean, there's probably some strangers out there, but a lot of them have been interested in you for a while. But at a festival, like there's like a lot of those people are like, okay, let's see what this is about, and that's really fun.
You think you expose your music to new fans at festivals and
Well,
when you
definitely.
yeah, you'd have to. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, you
Or else
definitely
we
have
would be
to.
playing festivals all the time. every time.
You definitely do. That's why bands really like doing it. I mean, even the massive headliners do. Like, I know, people who've been curious about a band, but not enough to go see them on themselves, and they happen to be playing, and you go watch them.
Today was one of those days where we were looking around and looking at the crowd, and it's overwhelming, but not in a bad way. It's a, people talk about being humbled by things, and normally I didn't understand that when people said that, but you really are, because I think we're a band that exists understanding of the luck that we have. And I know that we work hard, and I know we try to make music the way we like it, but that doesn't necessarily mean any of this. Like, there's no equation of how it all works. We do everything the way we want to do it, and normally that's a disaster. And for some reason, we don't understand why, but we've been super lucky. And today was one of those days where we looked around and went, oh my God, I can't believe this. Like, this is our third record in, and every record we make, we think it's done. We're just going to go back to clubs, which we love playing, and we'll be totally happy to do that. And when Swoon came out, our last record, we thought, that's it. We're going to go back to clubs and we're going to play those things. And it's just, things got bigger. And now we're doing Neck of the Woods, and we thought, that's it for sure. It'll never get bigger than that. And we, something like today is when we realized, like, I don't know what it is that we did to deserve it, but we're so grateful.
I was driving a little while ago, about a year ago actually now, and listening to the radio, this awesome song came on, and I Shazammed it, and it turned out to be Nightlight, and I was very surprised because it turns out that it's a pretty different, pretty new sound. Do you guys think so? Do you guys think that the new album is a bit of a departure, and in what direction? Do you
I feel like they all are, really, because every time we make a new record, people tell us that. They always go like, oh wow, that's different. That's not like the last one. All the way from like Pikel to Carnivorous to Swoon to Neck of the Woods. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It's hard for us to be able to sort of intellectualize it being a departure, because it's just still.
To me, it seems more like a progression. Like, to me, they seem interlinked, but it's just,
it feels. It's hard for it to feel different to us, because you get interested in different things, and you sort of apply these things, but you apply them in the same way you used to as well. So we can't almost really see it as clearly as maybe somebody else can. Does that make sense? We can't really be like, yeah, this is totally different. It's still sort of we still hear ourselves in it.
Yeah, is there like a conscious decision to like, all right, we're going to go this way with this record? It's like it always just sort of happens as you're making it, and it's like all the stuff that Brian was saying, like with like other stuff you've been listening to or whatever that sort of like is swimming around in your brain, like it just sort of comes out while you're recording, and it's like that's just the way that the record's sounding. It's not like we're going to make a country record or whatever, Like we've never
get calculated like that. That would be such a bummer. But it is, I mean, especially if you tour off of like touring on this record. You put so much into the record, and you've spent so much time with it, and you play with it live so much, but by the end of it, you're finished with it, and all those things that you really wanted to put in that are there, and you've moved on, and so you get excited about something else. But like I said, at the end of the day, there's something in the middle of it that we can never unhear. Like that, we always still feel it's us. I think when people really want in the beginning a record to sound like the last one. But they don't really want that, because if they do, they'll be happy for a minute, and then they'll just go back and listen to the other one. Like, you know what I mean? If you really only like that sound, then you have the album. You know what I mean? You don't need to get anything else.
So do you get nervous when you explore new ground like this? Do you like when you do you get a little anxious about what are we gonna just do the same album again?
I think we would be anxious if we felt. We were repeating ourselves.
Yeah. If we were doing the same thing. I mean, that's why kind of it's nice, like the Better Nature was such a different creative album to make. It was the first time we kind of went in the studio kind of really not knowing how we were going to record it or what we were going to use, like instrumental wise or, you know, or even arrangement wise. So that was nerve wracking, you know, coming into it, because we didn't have a lot of pre-production involved at all. But then, like, once you start doing it, then it kind of all falls into place, and all of a sudden you start realizing that, okay, it's happening.
Yeah, it was our second go with Jackknife, so we kind of went through all the growing pains in our previous record. And this one, we knew how it was going to work. We almost sort of wrote to it, knowing how the process was going to go. So it gave a lot of room for just being really, having a lot of improvised daily things.
Do you feel like you get more and more comfortable with the process every single time now that you've had 4 or 5 albums, as opposed to, you know, before, like maybe on your second or third you're
No, I think it's always it's I think it still stays pretty intense, because, like, I say this a lot, like, you just keep trying to shut your critics off, which is yourself, you know, because that can get really tiring if you just kind of like just. You can't, you know, you just can't believe this is real. You gotta, like, break yourself down, because it's like, oh, it sucks and blah blah blah. And so the more you do it, I think the more you're just trying to silence that, so you can be more free and not care so much, you know, not be so savage to yourself in some ways, because it's a strange thing to do this, but it's much easier to do it with the same intensity and the same passion without having to be so negative on it. And so we're getting better at that, I think.
You're veterans of the road now. You've been doing this for upwards of a decade, right? Maybe closing in on 2 decades or whatever. Do you get a reality check sometimes? Like, we've been, you know, we're very established. We've been doing this for a long time.
We forget about that all the time, to be honest with you, because we feel really brand new, and we always don't think about us being around a long time. But we just had an experience just now that is the thing that reminds me of that we have been around. When somebody that seems like an adult, that looks like an adult, and probably has gone through a lot of life things, come up to us and tell us how much they liked us in junior high. We go, what? That's pretty crazy.
And I think, you know, we're appreciative that we're still around. We know a lot of bands that when we started, you know, they haven't been around for years, and that, you know, it's hard for bands to stay together, and we've managed to do that. So,
well, you notice it in festivals, because this is sort of a universe where we repeat things all the time, like coming to places and coming to festivals. And when you go to festivals over and over again, it make you think about when you were there in previous times. And when you really think about that, then your brain starts thinking about all the bands that were around then, because you never really think about who's gone, you know? But then we're like, fuck, what happened to that band? We're like, oh shit. You know, that trips us out, and then it just makes us feel really, really lucky.
So why are you still around?
I don't know.
What is it? Why are you still around and those guys aren't?
If you have the answer to that, please email him right away. None of us know. None of us know. We don't know.
So what's
dumb luck and?
Give me some tour secrets. Give me some dirt on each other for what is it like? What is it like to tour as Silversun Pickups? And
it's pretty mellow.
Yeah.
We kind of. I mean, it's just like that. We're still a band because we get along, and we kind of, like, you know, we get along, and we like to do things together. We like to do day trips whenever we can, or like
get out of the bus. That's the secret. Get out of the bus. Get your ass out of the bus, and get out of the hotel and go see the city. Yeah.
So we're pretty good at that. Nikki's kind of like the instigator of that, but then we're now kind of like, we all know that, okay, day off, what are we gonna see? Where are we gonna go? Even if it's just watching a movie, or even if it's just, you know, finding out what the good restaurant is in the city.
Just
you know,
get out and go see. Yeah, it's honestly, that's it. You just sit in that bus and your whole life's just on that stage. That's not a life.
What is next for Silversun Pickups? What do you have in mind for?
Still touring all the way probably to the middle of next year, I imagine, and then we'll see. We'll see what happens. have to shed this record first before we think about anything else. Because if we started thinking about it now, I think too much of this album would end up being on there. We want to make sure it's all flushed out before we move on.
Does touring do that for you?
Eventually, yeah. There's almost a natural clock in your head because the duality of being a band is so strange. Because when you make a record and it's really microscopic and it's super internal and you're basically almost for a year hearing things quietly in your head all the time and you're figuring out ways to get it there and everyone's in this little room together and you do all this stuff and it's crazy. And then you go and play live and everything's big and loud and everything's external and that part of your brain's gone, the creative part of your brain's gone and this sort of rugged part of the brain kicks in and then once that becomes almost too much, like that stops and you just stop and then that part happens again. So it's almost like, I think if it didn't happen, like if we didn't go home, if we went home and nothing was coming, then we just wouldn't be making one. Like I couldn't imagine forcing an album out, you know? Like we just couldn't. So that would be an interesting day.
Has your live show evolved in any way in the last little while? Let's say over the last
2 or 3 more lights.
Yeah.
Aside from
got a backdrop.
Backdrop.
For 16 years we have a backdrop.
this is how you know this is how you know you hit the big time.
Yeah.
You get a
That's how
backdrop.
you know you gotta start paying attention.
Well, it's funny because we were at like a radio festival and Nikki and I we were like side stage watching traverses, and we were just looking at their backdrop and I was like, it's so big, and they have a backdrop. We were like, we gotta get one of those.
Foles has a great one, but my
Yeah.
favorite was when they have a really small one and it's up in those big festivals and you're just like, oh, because they and they'll put it sort of strange, like somebody with a really bad misplaced tattoo. Like I got a tattoo here. And you're like, what? And it's just like, there it is. That's always fun.
I hope you guys really enjoy the show tonight,
we will.
and enjoy the city, enjoy Toronto. Don't venture
Thank you.
too far during the summer with all the closures that always happen in Toronto. I noticed that you guys hit up Toronto usually during the summer. You guys trying to avoid
last time we were
the rough
here-
times.
No, Nikki and I were here doing a promo. We did acoustic and we did like 6 acoustic shows, something crazy, and it was
Snowstorm.
freezing. And we went by that area, like it just because I remember we saw Star Wars.
Yeah.
And we were downtown and we had ran into the mall to just try and like get as far as we could to
Yeah.
the theater, and then we'd jump out and then
Meanwhile,
jump in the
everyone
next
else
building.
is wearing regular coats and
literally
just hanging
everyone
out.
had like sneakers on. And it was like, who cares? It's like, God,
Didn't you guys didn't we just come from a Florida run?
we had just come
right before that.
we came
so,
from a
like-
Florida run, and Nikki and I landed in Toronto, and it was like 12 degrees.
Yeah.
But then we went to where we did that outdoor thing for that radio station, wherever the radio station is out there, and that's right on the water. And that was some special feelings. It's just like it feels like it just
Gets
knifes
cold
you,
here.
just knifes you.
Probably find it a little hard to play with frozen hands.
I'd rather play cold,
Yeah.
than hot. Hot's a bummer. Cold is lovely. We
I'd
played in the
rather
snow.
play hot.
I don't know. I think we've only
Well, then
played
you're lucky
once.
because you're
I know,
out.
we
We've only played once outdoor
Cold.
in the snow, and that was like in Mammoth,
It's
California.
easier to heat up and cool down.
And our guitars were left out in the snow, so they were just freezing. And then, like literally, the strings were like frozen, and then we picked them up. And I remember my hands were just going numb because they were touching these steel.
Using the lights as heaters to warm your hands up.
Yeah, that's fun.
It was fun.
It's pretty wild going from such different environments between different environments.
Normally
do
it's warm.
Yeah.
Normally it's hot. To be honest with you.
Yeah.
It's like very rarely is it cold.
Do you find the people are like vastly different too between
the weather?
let's say like between a warm climate and a cold, like you tour all the time, so you'd have a pretty unique perspective.
Really hot, it can be. People are champs. I mean, I don't know how they do it.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, there's some serious, sinister weather out there.
Sometimes it gets to the point where it's like you can tell that they're like all slightly delirious, and it's like should probably all go find shade, but like it's
It's just great about Oceania in Canada. Like I was talking about that. Like all of a sudden, these guys came out with the hose and hosed everybody down, and we were like, that. I can't imagine that in the
Sounds
States.
nice.
They would sell everybody water. But in Canada, they're like, here you go. It's awesome. Yeah, totally. I was like, wait a minute, do they want water?
People were
Because
so excited.
they
It was-
love
it
the
was
water.
cool to
I
watch
did too. I was
while we
excited
were
to watch
playing.
it.
right, guys. Well, thanks for doing this. Enjoy the show
Thank you.
tonight. And Better Nature, get it now. Silversun Pickups.